Welcome back everyone to another video. This time we'll be doing a spoiler review for Ant-Man and the Wasp. If you haven't checked out my non-spoiler review, go check it out. It will be in the link in the description below, or check it out in my channel. And this one, I'm gonna warn you in 3, 2, 1. It's gonna be spoiler alert. We're gonna talk in details and everything about this movie. I'll start off with Justin, because I've been going to Jason in that non-spoiler review whole time. Justin, I want to hear your spoiler comments on this one.
Well, I thought many of the scenes are very well done, in particular fighting scenes, and also the interrogation scene with Louise and the mafia-type villain, if you will. That was a really funny scene, because it contrasted the seriousness of the mafia-type villain, I don't know what to call him, and Louise's over-the-top truth serum explanation of how he met Scott. Also, I think the circular narrative worked really nicely. How it began with Hank and Janet, how it gave the flashback of the backstory of how Janet was lost in the quantum realm, and then it also ends with Hank and Janet together, which I thought was really nice in tying up the whole film.
Yeah, how about you, Jason?
Yeah, I thought the fighting and the serious part was balanced well with the comedic relief of the main character Scott, who is really funny. He's also got some funny friends as well who support him throughout the movie, Louise and security team, but also Michael Ford, is that his name?
Which one?
The dad, Hank.
Oh, you mean the actor? Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, yeah. He's quite serious throughout the movie, and then seeing Scott trying to lighten the mood, taking jabs at him, is quite funny to watch, because he's always flirting with the name of the girl, the Wasp.
The Wasp.
As you will. Yes, that's quite funny to watch, and yeah, I think that's a great balance for the movie. The comedic relief of him and the dad versus the fighting.
Yeah, I really like. First of all, I really like how this movie started out. In this movie, the first scene, if I'm not wrong, is about the dynamic between Janet and Hope, and also Hank, which is like a parent-daughter dynamic. And then you cut to Scott and Cassie, which is another parent-daughter dynamic. So it really showcased that this is going to be like revolving about family and relationship. And pretty much the whole plot revolves around saving Janet. And that's another important part of like family all together. And it comes back all around in the very end, where Hank finally is with Janet. And there is a brief scene near the ending where they're in the lab, where it's a shot of like both Wasp and both Ant-Man at the same time. It's kind of a geek out moment for me. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. But yeah, it's just go full circle, and I really like that. Also, like I said like all we said in the non-spoiler review, the Wasp is so much better than Ant-Man. You've said it, Ant-Man's kind of like everyday guy, comic relief. The Wasp really knows her stuff. We see in the first movie that the Wasp can kick ass, and this one, she's so much better at fighting. Obviously, she can shrink, she can fly. Ant-Man have to use ant, so I feel bad for Ant-Man. Well. Yeah, she got blasters too. And you pointed it out that the Wasp right away in the beginning of the movie, well, not exactly the beginning, but the first action scene, this was the Wasp and not Ant-Man, and it is the kitchen fight.
Yeah, the kitchen fight. So it used the film directors used the slow motion effects really nicely, as well as incorporation of the shrinking effects to really showcase the Wasp's abilities. As she was able to fly, and she was really able to take on the opposition really well, and really from the get-go asserted dominance as the dominant protagonist in her fighting capabilities in comparison to Ant-Man.
Yeah, and we didn't emphasize this enough in the non-spoiler review, but this movie is really, really funny. Just like the first one, it's revolving around comedy, and once again, in that fight scene, not only that we see the awesome fight moves and choreography, it's also funny, especially they using the, what's it called, the salt shaker.
Oh, the salt, yeah.
And then it's shrink, and then someone just boom, that one.
Yeah, gross,
and they use so many shrinking related tropes to turn it to comedy. Just the car chase alone, there was some funny moments. When Ant-Man grows big and you have to stop the car, that was some funny moments. There are multiple comedic moments in this movie that are really funny. And since I put you on the spot before, I'm going to go to you. What are some of your favorite comedic moments in this one?
Probably one of my favorite comedic moments is there's a scene where he's interrogating Scott's best friend, or not best friend, but Louise, his mate. And it's a truth serum, and Louise without the truth serum, he really talks a lot. Like, he just doesn't know when to stop. So when they give him this truth serum, which makes him super responsive to questions, he's asked, so where is Scott? And then he just goes on about some backstory to the beginning where they first met, to like where he is now, and he's talking about something completely unrelated to the actual question, but just seeing him talking about his friendship with Scott is very funny to watch, and him speaking really fast as well just takes off some of the seriousness of like the interrogation, which is supposed to be like very serious, trying to find where the lab is, but it's funny in the end.
Yeah, and talking about Louise, you might just think like, oh, his only comic relief doesn't really impact the plot. He actually does impact the plot in this one. I feel like, well, in the first movie he does play quite a big role. This one, he impacts the plot even more. And also, I forget the name, but the other characters played by T.I. and I'm really sorry I forget that actor's name.
Yeah.
The other friend. I really like how now, since they were previously like cons and thieves, now they have like this ex-con security shop or something. So the character development, I really like that. What are some of your favorite comedic moments?
Well, there are many of them. I also think the scene where Ant-Man enlarges himself when next to the whale watching boat is really funny.
Yeah.
Especially when all the whale watchers initially think it's a whale, when in fact it's Ant-Man.
Because he's doing like whatever that
like
butterflies.
breaching, that's what it's called, breaching. So I thought that was really comedic, especially when Ant-Man loses all his energy, which leads to him nearly drowning. But I thought it was really funny, because with those comparisons of him being a whale, and him being unable to control his size during the malfunctions in his suit was really interesting.
Yeah, and I just googled this. It's David Dashmalchian, which is the other friend, also T.I. and Michael Pena. But yeah, you said that the joke is the interrogation. You said the whale thing was funny.
Yeah, the whale watching.
I personally like the school joke when his modulator? Modulator broke, and he become like a small kid, and then the wasp is just like treating him like, oh, are you okay?
Yeah,
and then, like,
the jump is too bad for him.
And in my non-spoiler review, I mentioned that they incorporate the score and the music really, really well. This moment is what I'm talking about. And when he's like running in the hallway, and then the guy's like, hey, where's your hall pass? The music is like just so perfect, it's so cartoonish, and it stops and then it goes on again, and Paul Rudd's like running like that, like a little kid. It's so perfect, and it's hilarious. And talking about that one, I really like how Paul Rudd and Scott Lang, he is definitely the world-created grandma, hands down. So yeah, about the other characters, we talk about Scott and we talk about Hope. No, wait, Janet. We haven't. Okay, I'm getting the Wasp mixed up. Too much Wasp, too much Ant-Man. We gotta talk about Scott and Hope, right? Yes. We haven't talked about Janet and Hank. What do you guys think of Janet and Hank?
Well, we don't get to see much of Janet actually. She's really only there for like the last 20 minutes or so of the film, but she has a big impact when obviously she heals Ghost after she attempted to really get back her life by destroying Janet.
Right, because she wants to get healed, but she wants to extract Janet's
she's got
abilities.
those positive motives despite being a villain, so she's kind of like an anti-hero in that way. But I thought it was really interesting. Janet was quite a focal character despite the lack of screen time she had. Also, Hank is obviously a very focal character throughout the whole film, in that he was really the instigator in the whole process of retrieving Janet, as well as Hope, of course. Whereas Ant-Man was kind of more of the supporting role in wanting to repay Hank for what he did for stealing the suit. So, yeah, I really thought that Hank and Janet play a very focal role in the film.
Yeah, you point out a very nice point that Ant-Man feels like he's more of the side character this time.
Supporting
Scott Ant-Man. So, yeah, how about you? What do you think of Hank and Janet? Do you like how it goes, their storylines and everything?
With Hank and Janet, I thought that the whole movie was like the main mission or goal was to save Janet. And I thought that was really good, like how they formed the relationships to work together, even though Hank and Scott, they didn't like each other at the beginning, but they were forced to work together because for a common goal to save Janet. However, when Janet did come out, like this whole movie's built up to it, and she's just come out, and I feel like it's a bit of a bit anticlimactic. Like he's in there, he saves her, comes out, and I feel like I wanted more. I'm not sure what that would be, but it felt a little anticlimactic when she came out. But I do admire Hank's, Janet's, and Scott's perseverance to save her, and they try to incorporate some like quantum physics analogies and terminology, which I had no idea what they meant.
Do not attempt to understand it.
Yeah, I don't know, the science in here is, physics.
You're not meant to understand the physics in the Marvel universe.
Don't let that take away from the action and the motives. It was really good, and apart from that, like the anticlimactic, I thought the Hank and Janet relationship was quite nice.
Yeah, since you brought up the science, now I want to talk about it. I was a bit iffy whether this take me out of the movie or not, and now that I think about it, it does take me out of the movie, especially the part where the building, because this whole lab, it can shrink and then become like a suitcase luggage. Now here's the thing, if they didn't point out how the science worked in the first movie, this probably wouldn't bother me so much, but the first movie, it clearly says that what they do is they shrink the molecules of the atom so the density is like increased, but by doing so, doesn't that mean that the building is still heavy? Why would they be able to carry it around? This is the thing. If they probably didn't explain if they don't explain the physics of that, probably wouldn't bother me so much. But since I know that coming in because of the first movie, when that happened, I'm like, it's probably more likely like, oh no, it's too heavy. We didn't think this through. But aside from that, I don't think anything obeys lots of physics in this one. I'm pretty sure that scene in the car chase where the big car's on top and the small car's over here. Probably if in real life and that happens, it will be more like and it doesn't flip over. But it's not cinematic, so they have to do that. And I haven't got a chance to talk about who is it again? Janet and Hank. There you go. I like how the dynamic between them, and I really like how Hank finally got a chance to suit up, because in the first movie we saw flashbacks of young Hank Pym and the small Ant-Man, but we don't really see if it's Michael Douglas inside that suit. In this one, we clearly see that Michael Douglas used some form of a suit and he shrank to the quantum realm, so that's pretty nice callback to Hank Pym, aka the first Ant-Man in the comics. And yeah, Janet, I agree with you. It's all about bringing her out, and in that ending, it feels kind of rushed, the payoff. It was a good payoff, but it feels kind of quick. Oh, she's out, she directly heals Ava, and then boom, that's it. It feels kind of, I would have want more, like, there's building up so much, I was expecting something else, but it goes quick, and yeah, it's just quite simple. And they do leave it a cliffhanger for Ava and Bill Foster Goliath. But yeah, and talking about Goliath, there are several Easter eggs that I just want to say. If you don't know, in the comics, Bill Foster, aka Goliath, is Hank Pym's partner, and he also grew to the size like Hank Pym, really huge, like Giant Man. So he was, he wasn't that big of a part. He was quite short run because he got killed. Spoiler alert, in the comic Civil War. If you guys are angry that I spoiled that comic has been out for quite some time, do your research. And also, about Ava's dad, if I'm not wrong, actually I didn't research this, but if I'm not wrong, based on my memory, his father's name is like Ellis, what is it, do you remember? Ellis Starr or something like that. But in the comics, if I am not wrong, Ellis Starr is a villain, Hank Pym's villain called Egghead. And the actor who played it, he's bald, but his head doesn't look like an egg, which I'm glad, because in the comic, Egghead looks freaking ridiculous. It's like a guy that has a huge head for an egg.
Be a bit like Green Lantern.
Huge egg for a head. Huh?
Be a bit like Green Lantern if you had that egg head.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad, but they did reference it, which I like. And also, they tease it in the movie that Cassie is like, oh, I want to be like you, I want to be like you.
Foreshadowing.
In the comics, she becomes Thatcher, which is one of the crucial members of the Young Avengers. And she does play some crucial storyline. So I don't know if in the future we're going to see maybe Goliath suit up, or we're going to see Cassie as Thatcher suit up. But probably they have to age up Cassie, because I don't think she's that young. I don't think they're going to give her suit anytime soon. So yeah, unless she's probably like older, like a teenager or a young adult, then they probably give her the suit maybe. Peter Parker's age, then probably that's more likely. But yeah, those are just some Easter eggs that I noticed while watching it. I didn't do any research for this one, so if it's mistaken, I'm sorry. Comment in the comment section below saying what's the correct one, and hopefully you don't call me stupid. All right. How about the villains? You did mention in the non-spoiler review that it's not really straight out villains, more like anti-villain, is it?
Anti-heroes.
Anti-hero, yeah.
So
Elaborate.
there are three main antagonists in the film. Obviously, the mafia type villain. Who I'm not sure what his name was, but also
Played by Walton Goggins.
yeah, obviously also Ghost, probably the main villain, the strongest of the
Ava,
three, Ava, and also of the FBI, who's more the comedic villain in that sense. But they weren't really that strong, but also it increased the lightness of the film, in my opinion. In some ways made it more enjoyable, also less engaging in a way that it was kind of a bit too easy in that Ghost's abilities weren't really that powerful in comparison to that of Wasp's. But I don't know.
I feel like Ghost was quite powerful, especially because every time
At the beginning, you just didn't see.
yeah, she's powerful, but every time she kicks both Ant-Man and the Wasp, they both like fly quite far.
They are
she got a pretty
strong.
powerful kick. She
Yeah.
never skipped leg day apparently. So I don't know how she does that because she face every time.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of confusing because
Like she's
she
not
can't really
she's supposed to
control
phase
it.
through, but then she can hit them solidly. So like
the special
I'm not
effects
sure.
for Ghost is really cool, especially like it's like visualizing where she's going or where she's been. Like I said in my non-spoiler review, I don't know much about making visual effects, but I feel like that's quite complicated. It's really cool and unique. They have to take multiple shots, I'm guessing, to
make
make
them look
that
good.
image. Yeah. So yeah, the visual effects is awesome for Ghost. The ending, how she's not, like you said, she's not really a villain. She's quite selfish, I guess, because she doesn't care about
She's a
Janet.
likable type villain.
Yeah.
'cause
She's got the right motive,
Like-
but she doesn't. She's in pain the whole movie, and so she can't. She probably can't think. She only probably thinks about herself and stopping the pain. But by trying to end the pain, she's bringing pain towards others. So I guess there are selfish motives, but her goal in the end is to save herself, which is you can't blame her for that. So.
Yeah, personally for me, Ghost is an okay villain. I like her powers a lot, especially because you cannot do something to do with shrinking anymore, but this one's like phasing, so it's sort of like intangible, while both heroes are like shrinking. So they both really, they're like dodging each other somewhat, so I like that dynamic. And yeah, she's an okay villain. Once again, there is only 2 villains in Phase 3 in MCU, which I feel like is kind of weak, so I would put Ghost in there and Caecilius from Doctor Strange, because I really like Baron Zemo, I like Hela, I like Thanos obviously, and I like Eric Killmonger. And Ego and Vulture was also okay, but yeah, this one is the kind of the weaker villains of all those films, in my opinion, personally. So yeah, you mentioned about multiple storyline. I personally think it really ties up well, especially it only works because the character dynamics, and yeah, the relationship. I forgot to point this out between Janet and Hope. The relationship is really strong, especially when Janet came back. There's like a small family touching moment over there, and that came out wrong, by the way. Not family touching, but yeah. And also, I like the joke where Janet is like possessing Scott Lang.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's creative right there.
Comedy and seriousness at the same time.
Going off Janet, I feel like there's a bit of a missed opportunity, as in the end credit scene you see that she gets vaporized by Thanos' click of the fingers.
Yeah, we'll get to that, by the way.
Only in the quantum realm she says that she evolved in some way. And
You're hoping she won't get fade away?
But yeah, because you could read the only abilities that she displayed was when she healed Ava at the end. But we didn't really know what other abilities she may have gained in the quantum realm. But she wouldn't. She's probably not going to be in Avengers 4, which is a bit of a shame in my opinion.
Yeah, I have not read a lot of Wasp and classic Ant-Man comics, so I'm not too sure if they ever did this in the comics at all, that Janet have this kind of quantum realm powers. I don't know if she got the suit, but I don't know if she got this power, so they don't really explain on that, which is why, once again, the payoff for when she heals Ghost, I feel like it's kind of, it's generic. They just want to wrap up the story. And I just want to give props to Peyton Reed, who directed this. If you all know, in the first movie, Edgar Wright, who directed Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, he's supposed to direct that, and he wrote the story, but something happened with him and Marvel, and so Peyton Reed took over. So in that movie, you can probably feel like, oh, it's two different directors taking the helm. This one is pure Peyton Reed, and from the start, you can tell it's very much like a Paul Rudd comedy with very heavy family dynamic and everything. So props to Peyton Reed for that. Do you want to add anything about that, or you want to add anything about? I literally forget. I'm sorry. What did you just talk about?
The
powers.
Janet.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that?
I think, well, I want to get back to the villains, because there was such a variety of villains. If you didn't like the seriousness of Ava's story, you had Randall's story to follow. Randall Park, he was the FBI agent trying to stop Scotty from leaving the house. I thought that was quite funny to watch, because Ava's was quite serious, like her trying to save herself, and between that, I thought that the weakest out of the three was the Mafia boss. I feel like he was just there to exchange the quantum technology at the very beginning, and throughout the movie I kind of want to see more of Randall, more of Ava, and less of the Mafia guy. I feel like the Mafia guy was only there to include Louis, so it was a bit forced in my opinion that villain, but apart from that, I thought the villains were quite good for the range that offered the audience.
Yeah, I just want to add another thing, now that I remember this. Ghost, in the beginning, when she wants to get the lab, she did like this kind of thing with Hank, like she faced to his neck or something.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm confused with Ghost's motive. I mean, at times if she wants to, she could just kill someone by like phasing through the chest.
That reminds you of like the Flash
But
as well.
she doesn't really does that much. She only does that once.
Yeah, she could have used that power a lot
Yeah,
more.
exactly. So yeah. And I'm gonna put you guys on the spot here.
Okay.
This movie, we show dynamic between Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we like how they fight together. Especially in the end, we all agree that last scene when she's fighting with Ghost, they're like one of them shrink punch, the other one shrink punch, and Ghost like. So I want to hear what you guys think in MCU is the best duos in the MCU.
The best duos that they work together.
Yeah, do you think Ant-Man and the Wasp is the best duos after seeing this movie, or do you think someone other MCU characters?
Well, there are some good ones, like there's Captain America and Bucky. Which is the classic, I think. But there are other ones as well.
I'll put this duo in terms of like the fighting skill, okay, not just like the dynamic. Actually, you know what? I'll put it as general dynamic, just the character relationship between two characters.
I don't know if this is my favorite one, but it's quite. There's between Iron Man and Rhodey. Like,
Okay.
Iron Man's quite the fun guy, similar to Scott. Rhodey's the very serious guy, similar to Janet. However, like, it just works because they balance each other out, and even though Iron Man is like the stronger fighter, Rhodey still tries and upscales him, sort of, similar to Scott and Janet. Scott tries to always show off like how good he is, even though we both like the audience knows
Obviously.
that Janet's a stronger fighter. So
She's the one who taught Scott how to fight.
Yeah, that's true. But like, yeah, I feel like another powerful duo would be Iron Man and Rhodes.
How about you, Justin?
Well, as Jason said, I reckon Captain America and Bucky is probably the most obvious powerful duo in the MCU, in that their relationship stems like hundreds of years, which obviously creates a stronger bond. And they share...
Yeah, they're 100 years old.
Yeah, when they share similar strengths, that they're more so regular people, except obviously Bucky is his improved arm, and Captain America is a shield, but they're more relatable characters in comparison to that of other characters in the MCU. And their really strong bond adds to greater chemistry, which was displayed in Captain America Civil War when they fought Iron Man, which in my opinion makes them a very strong duo.
Yeah, and for me, if you guys realize while they're talking, I'm probably anxious, because as soon as I asked them, I just realized I cannot answer this question. I'm thinking throughout. I really like Bucky and Cap, Rhodey and Iron Man is a great one. First of all, I would like to say, I'm stalling time here, because I'm still deciding. I like how not only they're just combo in terms of fighting, they have a romantic relationship.
Chemistry.
And I hope it pays off forward, because if you know in the comics, the original, and well, obviously in the movie too, they're married, they're couples. I didn't know if they're gonna do Hope and Scott to be like couple, because in the comic they're never like in a relationship. So maybe, hopefully they expand on it in future movies, because like I was thinking of like Scarlet Witch and Vision. They're the only power couple right now in the MCU, but they never really fight together. I feel like even in Civil War they're opposing sides. In Infinity War they did fight Corvus Glaive, and Proxima Midnight, but they don't really fight together.
Yeah, they should be like they should be the most powerful
Exactly.
hero. Like Scarlet Witch is a very powerful character in the MCU, and obviously Vision as well.
Yeah.
But as seen in Infinity War, Vision especially wasn't very powerful. Wasn't that much of an influence in the plot. So.
Yeah, and I think I know where I'm going for the best duo.
He's decided.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. This might be unorthodox, but I'm gonna go with Thor
Loki.
and Loki.
Oh.
Yeah, especially because, okay, Thor 2 might be the worst, but they have the most dynamic in that one, and I like the relationship between Thor and Loki. Even this first one, they sort of have it, and the third one, Thor Ragnarok, also they have the dynamic. And also Thor and Hulk, I really like their relationship a lot in that one. And another shout out for the other relationship, Groot and Rocket is really
Yeah,
nice one.
Rocket, that's true.
And yeah, I don't know if Black Panther and
What about
Okoye.
Black Widow and the Hulk? You know, that's
No, I don't
No?
like the dynamic at all. I don't like their dynamic at all. But
a bit forced. Fair enough.
Spider-Man and Iron Man is a good one.
Spider-Man,
So,
Iron Man,
yeah.
that's good.
Gamora and Starman.
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, sorry.
Starman.
Star-Lord.
Yeah, and all right. Anything you want to add about this before we go to explain the post-credit scene? We talk about that.
No, you go straight to the credit scene.
You want to add anything?
I also think we haven't talked much about it, but also the relationship between Cassie and Ant-Man was
Yeah.
very strong. And that Cassie was a really inspiring figure in Ant-Man, as without Cassie, I don't think he would have had the motivation to really work to save Janet and help out Hank and Hope.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. And yeah, all the story, once again, tied up because the family dynamic. This is
Yeah.
a family movie first. I like how we have two superhero movie that based on family first, Incredibles 2 and this one now.
Yeah, true.
After once again the dreadful Infinity War. But talking about Infinity War, the post-credit scene, the first one at least, not the second one. Second one just
Second
an
one.
ant drumming.
Oh,
Kind of disappointing, but I
why?
guess that's what they do. They usually joke around in the second
Yeah.
one. And the first one,
Gave away the timeline.
they Ant-Man go into the quantum realm. Janet, Hope, and Hank is outside, and then Ant-Man is stuck inside. And
As it-
guess what? Everyone's. That is definitely a reference to Infinity War. If you have not seen it,
Where have you been living under a rock? Something?
yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say. You know what that means. Everyone else is affected. So we also know the timeline of this movie take place. The whole movie take place between Civil War and Infinity War, but that post-credit scene definitely take place at the end of Infinity War. So when that's kind of predictable, the post-credit scene for me,
But
because I
how
feel
is
like
he
that's
gonna
gonna
get
happen. Yeah, that's the big
Because
question.
there's concept art already out in Avengers
Yeah.
4 where Ant-Man is in the poster and he's stuck in the quantum realm, so I'm not sure how he's going to get out, but who knows, there could be Iron Man coming to save the day.
Yeah, I honestly, that post-credit scene is a bit disappointing for me because first, like I said, it's kind of predictable because I sort of know they have to refer it some way. Second of all, I know in the fourth movie there's gonna be some sacrifice. I feel like they have to, the current living heroes, some of them have to sacrifice themselves to bring back the dead
Yeah.
of the people that got snapped to dead anyway. Not Loki, I don't think it's coming back. I'm sorry, Loki fans, but because of that, now I'm thinking the original Avengers. If you don't know this, the original founding members of the Avengers are Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man, and Wasp. And even though this one is Hank Pym and Janet, I was hoping in Avengers 4 that we will see that, plus Cap too. We would see that, but now since Wasp is dead, there is probably less likely chance that we see all of them together in the same screen. Because I have a feeling that maybe Iron Man sacrificed himself and he dies, and everyone else came back. So I don't know. We might still see it, but I'm hoping we see the founding members of the Avengers all together. And how about you, Justin? What do you think of the post-credit scene?
I thought it was actually, I didn't find it that predictable myself, and it was really a good cliffhanger in that nobody knows what's going to happen with Ant-Man, because he's expected to be in the last film, but he's stuck in a really sticky situation, if you will. And also, after the second post-credit scene, which you've talked about, it's a bit disappointing, it says that Ant-Man and the Wasp will be returning. Despite the question mark.
Yeah, the question mark is really...
Despite the question mark, it raises the question whether the Wasp will feature in the film or not, which is really interesting because
She just got flicked
yeah,
away.
she got vaporized, but no, they still leave the question like
Yeah.
open-ended.
Gotta leave it
so-
open-ended, you know, because because then people start making
Yeah.
their own theories, and
So you don't know what to
that's the part of
expect anymore.
the build up for Avengers. You gotta, while you're waiting, you gotta think of theories, hypotheses as to why,
Yeah,
how they're gonna
just-
be included. You can't just be like Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And then,
How
like,
do you
the
think? How
Wasp-
do you think he'll come back to the real world? How do you think?
How they will all come back?
How Ant-Man will come back from the quantum realm?
Mm,
Real quick. Do you have any theories?
Well, he's got this. He comes in with a canister for like healing. So maybe
Yeah.
he'll find a way to re-engineer. I know he's not the smartest cookie, but he might be able to use that as a tool to get out, maybe, or because I don't really see how the other heroes might come and save him because he's just stuck on some type of random building,
Yeah.
and he's in the quantum. So I'm not really sure how.
You have any theories? No.
I don't know, it's really tough. I don't really know. Well, I think the only person or in the MCU that we're aware of that is featured would probably be Tony Stark. That'd be able to work the quantum machine to possibly get Ant-Man out. But other than that, I don't know, like Jason said, he probably has to do something with the canister because they had included that for a particular reason, I'd assume.
Mm-hmm.
So, probably something to do with that. But
Yeah.
I don't know, it's left been really open-ended. I'm not too sure.
I don't know if Goliath and Luis is alive, but maybe one of them might do it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they might be dead. Who knows?
Yeah.
I sound like I don't care that they died. So
He just
Yeah.
yeah, I
dies.
don't care. Everyone's dead. So yeah, maybe it's Iron Man. But I feel like Quantum Realm, and because Janet mentioned like the time doesn't work exactly the same. Maybe something to do with how they defeat Thanos in Avengers 4. That's my prediction. I don't know.
Use the quantum.
Something to do with Quantum Realm maybe.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and also the second post-credit scene, even though it's very disappointing, I like how, if you realize, the first scene and the second post-credit scene is they shoot the TV, and the TV's like no signal, initiating that everyone's gone, no signal. So that's just something smart that I like. So yeah, any finishing thoughts for you guys?
I would definitely recommend watching it. It's a light-hearted film that you can bring everyone to watch. You'll have a laugh. You'll enjoy the fight scenes. You won't get bored. It'll go fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's got everything you'd want, I guess. You got family, relationships, action, and I definitely recommend watching this movie if you have some free time.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Justin?
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
it's summer; they probably have free time. Unless you're working or something, but yeah.
Make time.
How about you, Justin?
Yeah, I thought it was a really enjoyable film. There was lots of good comedic elements, especially starting Ant-Man and Luis. But I thought there were a couple weaknesses in the development of the villains, especially that of the mafia type character. It could have been developed a bit further to strengthen the plot a bit more, in my opinion. And also of the resolution with Ava and how she was saved by the evolutionary powers that Janet received when in the quantum realm, which in my opinion was a bit of a shortcut to solve the
Explain,
film.
yeah.
Like a little bit of time left, but other than that, I thought it was a really well done film.
Yeah, I really like it that it stands alone. It ties a bit with Infinity War and Civil War, but you can watch it on its own and you probably most likely understand because they mention everything else. I like the comedy, I like the dynamic and the relationship. I really like the relationship between Janet, Hank, and Hope, even though the payoff wasn't probably the best. But I do like when they first meet with each other. That was really something special, because especially just imagine not seeing your parents after how many years and they came back. It's really something special. But yeah, overall, this is a fun movie. I would say it's recommended for all family members. You can all enjoy it because the comedy and everything. So yeah, sign out, guys. I'll leave you guys to sign out.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed the movie.
Good enough. So yeah, guys, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Peace.
Punch the camera.